Hey guys, happy Friday. It's the best day of your life. Remember that. Today I want to do a little nugget on subject to, and it's not like the number two, it's spelled subject and T-O, and that's when you buy a property and you take over the seller's mortgage. What brought this on was a couple things this week. One, I did a podcast with Nathaniel Hosepian, cool name. So I'll put the link below where we talk about that's what he does. Of course, I've done tons of subject to. I also still have many subject to, but the concept is amazing. You own the property. You buy a property from somebody. You actually get the deed. You own it, and the debt stays in the seller's name. You just take over their mortgage. And the beauty of that, when you do a true subject to, is that, first off, interest rates between 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22 were all way better than they are right now. So you can buy a property, take over the seller's mortgage, and you might get a 3.5, I've seen as low as two something interest rate. So where can you get a 3.5, 4%, even 5% mortgage right now? You can't get one, but you can get them if you buy a property subject to. The second thing is you don't need a credit score. You don't need to get approved by the lender. None of that stuff applies. You make a deal with the seller. So let me give you an example. Like, let's say the seller has a $400,000 house. Um, they owe $350,000. If they sell it for 400,000, they pay a real estate commission, which is like 6% generally. That's 470, transfer tax, blah, blah, blah. They might walk with $10,000. You may go to them and say, listen, I'll give you the $10,000. You don't have to pay a real estate commission, and I'm just going to take over your mortgage. And when you do that, now 10,000 comes out of your pocket. You get the deed to the property. You'll have to pay some closing costs, of course. But then you take over their mortgage. And let's say, and I'm just going to use, actually, I'll share my screen to show you like the difference. Today's interest rates are like seven something. I always have an amortization thing. So let's say that they owed 350,000 and it was a 7%. This is around what it is. So if you were going to buy that property today yourself, first off, you'd need more than $10,000 to do it. Second, if you were going to borrow $350,000, it's going to cost you a $2,300 30-year, this is a 30-year amortization, principal and interest costs you $2,300 a month. Let's say they got a mortgage and their rate is 4%. Instead of costing you 2,300, it's going to cost you 1,700. This is crazy. That might be $700 difference by taking over their mortgage. So that's one of the great advantages. Now, once people hear about subject to, that's like they call this creative financing. It's so creative. It's been around for as long as I've been buying houses. It's not like anything new. But that being said, once people hear about it, they're like, "Oh my God!" First off, if you're a foreigner, you want to buy in the U.S., it's hard to get a mortgage. Well, you know what? You find a seller that's willing to do subject to, and I can help you guys find these subject twos. You can just find, wholesalers find subject twos, and then they sell them, and you can just go and look and see, like, actually, yeah, you can basically go and see. So reach out to me and I can show you that. But let's say you find a seller, they want to do this. People get really excited about it and they think like, hey, I can buy a house with $10,000, $5,000, take over a mortgage. I could be a foreigner, not approved. I could have bad credit and buy a property. That is all true. But let me tell you what it is not. Most of the time, I don't want to say most, half the time, you still need to fix the house up and you're not going to refinance. So the Burr method does not work for subject to. Like if you want to invest money and buy a property, fix it up, and then refinance it to get all your money back, you're not going to do that because why would you refinance something you got a 3.5 or 4% or 5% rate into a 7.5, 8% rate? You're not going to do that. So whatever money you put into this deal is going to sit in that deal, and that's okay, especially if you have some money. So in the example I used, you put down $10,000, but maybe the house needs 40,000. Well, you got to have that $40,000 and that money's going to sit in that property. But that's okay because you're paying 700 a month less than what somebody else is. Subject to is super powerful. I'll give you another example. What you can do is, let's say you got a house. Really, a $350,000 house that needs $40,000 is not a great deal per se. You're not buying it 70 cents on the dollar. but the mortgage payment is the asset there. Sometimes you can pay retail, but the interest rate is half of what today's interest rate is, and your asset is the mortgage payment. So you have to look at that. Now, let's use this example. If if today's rates are 7% and it's a $2,400 payment and you can get a $1,700 payment, you can buy that property, fix it up, and then you can put it out rent to own to someone else that doesn't have good credit, get a down payment from them. If if uh if a mortgage payment is 2,300, probably in that market, rent might be 25, 26, 27. You rent it for 26, 27, let's say 2,700, you make $1,000 a month. You get a down payment that's not taxable in the beginning, and you give that person the option to buy the house for 450. I'm only doing daily nuggets here. This is a 5 minute to 10 minute convo. So there's a lot more detail in here, but check out my podcast. We talk a little bit about that. We also talk about fatherhood, which is a big thing for me. And if you're interested in subject two, you can reach out to me. I always put my email in the description. Have the best weekend of your life and the best day of your life, guys. Thanks.